Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes podcast.
What were some of the what were some of the things that you learned along the way that took your agency in some big strides?
Yeah, man, good question. Well, one of those moments, Craig, coming back to that was we delineated responsibilities between partners. In the early beginnings, as a partnership, we kind of just did everything, and we worked together as a team, and we didn't want to create delineation to where people were and how the hierarchy works because we didn't want to step on each other's toes. But once the ego kind of faded, and strategy kind of said, all right, this makes sense. We started to delineate. And at that point, my brother did all the quoting and in-house. I would do all the sales. And then Susan did referral marketing. So she was out in the field every day, knocking on referral partners' doors. And at that point, it wasn't choppy where we were getting something and then coming back, getting something, coming back. At that point, we started to have a constant flow of opportunities and started to develop some awareness in the community about what we were doing. So that was a big one. But I think what I learned from that was you need a system of consistent, repeatable marketing results. I don't think agents put enough emphasis on the marketing funnel. It's your lifeblood. You should have so many leads that you don't know what to do with. Like you should be complaining about how many opportunities you have, and then someone's got to look at you and say, "Hey, man, that's a good problem, right?" If you're not there, then you should be hammered. You should be hammered down the gas. So I think that's what I learned first was you need to be overrun with opportunities, and then you can be more selective. You can have higher quality conversions. That was one. And then number two, you're only as good as your team. And I think we've known that for a long time. I think that's what we came into the industry with. But I think there's just an epidemic in our space with recruiting, attracting, and retaining young talent. Just because we take this more traditional approach. That's why I love what you guys have done and made such noise with this podcast is you're breaking the mold. It's attractive to a young person. It's attractive to somebody that's dynamic, that wants to be involved with an industry that's doing fun things. And it's allowed us to really recruit and retain and develop talent that our competitors would never even get them to get into the insurance space, right? We're not fighting over all the insurance agents around town that want to come work with us. You have an unlimited supply of quality people if you would just make your business and the industry compelling enough for them to look your way. And I think that is the number one thing that I've learned through this process is if you can get that right, it's just everything else you could figure out. That one is an art.
Yeah. A couple of things there that I'd like to address. Number one, the marketing. And Jason said this a million times, but for some reason, insurance agents like to have it as a badge of honor that they don't buy leads, which I think is insane, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but if you don't have leads, then how are you going to grow? You have to have some kind of pull marketing, right? Something has to come your way and you have to pay for that to happen. That's just the way it works. And then that also then feeds the environment to which retains your staff, right? If you're going to hire people, you cannot hand them the phone book like it was done to us, because that doesn't work anymore. For a long time, I would bring people on and I'd say, well, I used to make 1,000 dials a day at Merrill Lynch. You have to too. And I've realized a while back that doesn't work. That especially with how much an agent can pay somebody now, it's pretty thin, especially if you're starting out. You have to give them as much as possible for them to be successful, because then they make money, they're staying, right? And it's a good environment. But we've been fortunate and blessed to create a culture in our agencies that people want to come to work, awesome. And they like it. And I'm sure it's the same thing there, but you have to spend money on the marketing. You hear it over and over. I can't afford it right now, but I'm a couple months down the road. It's like, dude, if you can't afford it now, in 2 months, it's going to be worse.
It's an investment, right? It's not about cost. It's about return. So, and I think there's a learning curve. You got to be willing to lose money, because that's the name of the game, right? We don't do things just to get the return. Doesn't have to be monetary. The return could mean I learn how to do this, because if you're not going to learn how to do it, like I can take anything out of the box. You and I do the same thing. If I have a different background and have different skill sets and have learned from this, we do the exact same things. I get different results, right? So you have to be willing to be bad in order for you to get good. And marketing is a great example of that, right? Like nobody just is awesome at marketing because they're just a marketing guru. No, they practice it. It's a discipline. They fell forward. They make mistakes. They spent a bunch of money. It didn't return anything. And then they said, all right, well, I'm not going to do that again. I'll pivot. So one thing you said, I love it. You said pull through marketing. So what I did back in my old days was I did what's called push through marketing, right? I would go out, I'd get opportunities, I'd bring that back, right? What I learned was under most business models, especially ours, that's not scalable. And what you're talking about is being able to take somebody with a good personality that's hungry, that has drive, that can talk to somebody on the phone, but maybe doesn't have that killer mentality to rifle through 1,000 phone calls. I want to be able to take that person and give them an opportunity to grow and be successful, right? So instead of me looking for the 0.02% out there that can do that, my now frame and pool to pull from is so much wider because I've equipped them with a system where they could be successful. Yeah. So I love that, man. It's totally, totally true. If they can't be successful in your system, you're not going to retain them. Right.
And you create the process. Now you're not training and looking for that 0.0001%, but you can plug anybody in there. If they can talk, not anybody, but somebody who is willing to do a little bit of the effort and has a good personality. I mean, you meet people all the time, even at your fast food, wherever, selling cell phones, but you meet somebody, you're like, whoa, okay, I like this guy. Right. And totally, that's my fishing, just talking to people.
And I think one of the coolest things about that, man, that's cool. I can just tell that you guys have a cool culture because of what you do and who you are. And, culture a lot of times is just a reflection of the person that's in charge of leading that culture. So that's cool. But to be able to take somebody that just has a desire for more, right, and be able to equip them to be successful. Number one, that's my favorite thing to do on the planet. It is literally fills me up. It's my juice. It's what I love, right? So how many times have you heard somebody say, I just can't find good people, right? You hear it all the time. Yeah. The reason you can't find good people is because you're looking for such a small target class. Your target is so small because your process and your system requires such a specific type of person that no wonder you can't find good person. It is a correct thing. But if, like you said, if you can find somebody that has some general skill sets, and you can make them successful, I think you have a scalable business. I think you have an opportunity that most people don't have. So that's a great point.
Yep. 100%. And that, being able to create a system where you can plug anybody into is the best position you can put yourself and your agency in. I mean, it's literally the McDonald's type model, right? Where it's, there's so much equity in that people, I don't think that everybody understands and is willing to put in the time for. One thing that you said that was awesome too was you got to be bad to be good. You have to do it. Like, you just have to suck. Like, suck and suck fast so that you can be good.
This is the wrong podcast for that, Mr. Jason.
I love it.
No, but we always say fail fast. And that when we bring in agents into our agency for sales position, it's like, I want you to get on the phone, learn the script. We're going to get on the phone and we're going to coach you through calls, but really just get out there and fail. Fail. The more you fail, the faster you are to being ultra successful.
That's awesome, man. I totally agree. One of my favorite sayings somebody says in here is, "I'm bad getting better." I'm bad getting better. Like it's almost like a badge of honor to be bad. It means that you're willing to do the activity, even though you're not as good at it. You're not as good at it as you should be yet. So give me somebody with that type of attitude, and let's go to work. Like that. That's fun.
100%.
We can sharpen the axe, but you got to be willing to wield it, if you will. So
that's so funny. That's the first time anybody's ever said that, and that is 100% what I like to do. And I know it's not the smartest thing to do, is to take people that might have been from an outside industry that might not naturally be a good salesperson, but like create this new opportunity and basically change their life. I once had a salesperson in here, and when we first started doing meetings, I got her up in front of everybody and I said, listen, she's naturally good at sales, right? And I said, well, what about your parents? What were your parents like? Well, my mom, whatever, but like my dad, he was really good, outgoing and stuff like that. And I'm like, you've been ultra successful at every job that you've been to, right? And she wasn't into insurance before, and she was. That sales skill, like that personality, changes your life. It changes your kids' lives. It changes the trajectory of everybody you know around you. It is the number one thing. So I love taking someone who doesn't know that, teaching them those skills, putting them in a position where they came in, said, I'm bad at sales, right? Or whatever pre-frame that they had. And then you give them the skills, they get this incredible confidence from it. And it literally will change their life and everybody's life around them. That is, I think, one of the coolest things on the planet. And it's super awesome. Motivating.
It's a transferable skill too, right? Like the art 100%. Of problem solving and communication is a universal transferable skill that you'll carry with you everywhere you go, and it will improve whatever situation you're in. So what a cool gift to be able to give that to somebody, right? And it's not for everybody. Yep. I get it, but I'd argue that, we're in the business of problem solving. So, and being able to communicate that. So if someone says they're not good at sales, I think 80% of people say that they just haven't. I think they need to reframe that, because we're all in the business of communicating. So it's a great thought. One of the other things, if I can, guys, one of the things that I think would be cool to share is that I've learned is that everything in here is open offices. So you talk about failing fast and failing forward and failing a lot. Well, what if you have 5, 6 people all failing around you? I get 5 times as many reps as the person that has a closed office. I'm a big fan of having open, like I'm in an open office, and these guys are still hammering right now, and they know that we're here, but I just let them know. But I've never had a closed office on purpose, because I think it's a cool example to set that says, if I make a mistake, my mistake is your mistake. If you make an error, your error is mine. We're not talking E&O. We're just talking about a miss on a phone call. But it's an exponential acceleration, and then you debrief almost on every single deal. Or you have an upset customer and they tell you why, and then you have a dialogue real quick for 10 seconds afterwards. Someone says, oh, you know what? I probably should have done that. Let me try that next time. Yep. I think that's a secret sauce that some people miss, and I think it's just powerful. That's using team to your advantage,
all day. Yep. 100%. Both of us have open offices. He was just out here. We did a training event for some of the Teledudes clients, and they came out, and I mean, my guys, this is COVID, right? They're like just in one little area. And I have it's a pretty decent sized space where we built a gym in one for them. There's a big conference room, another office in the back. Wow. But they want to be, I'm like, hey guys, we can all, go separate, be apart. They don't want to be apart, because they're able to pick up something from their, they just finished a call. They didn't get it, but so-and-so's over here and they're crushing it. They're like, ooh, I like what they said, right? You're always picking up something. And with sales, it's like, you have to constantly practice, baseball, it's like batting practice.
Yep. And how good is the energy in there comparatively?
Oh, dude, yeah, it's so crazy. Good. Yeah.
It's electric.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, there were 14 agents there, and they're like, this is unbelievable. I'm like, it's just what they do, and they like it. So he's like, I can't believe that they love this. And they do. So it's awesome. It's cool. I'm sure you have the same
thing.
And
Craig and I, and we didn't always operate like that. So there were points, and we talked about this months ago, where there were points where we both didn't want to go into the office. Mm-hmm. And it's because of the lack of energy, and almost the opposite, right? It sucks it out of you. Yeah. So it's like, it's either going to energize you and create energy, and that exponentially happens to everybody that's in there. So it's either going to create energy as a team, or we're going to die as a team and suck the energy out of each other.
Yeah. Well, especially in this virtual environment, right? It's like, I did a post today. I was like, just because you could work virtually doesn't mean that you should, right? Like, it has its place, and flexibility is amazing because it adds to lifestyle, which that's a big deal. That's the thing. But, I think either you need the office or the office needs you. Like the energy that you bring when you're in a good mood and you're in a good place and you feel bulletproof, somebody needs that. And if we're truly a team and we truly care about our culture, then it's my responsibility to make sure that you get that when I come in, right? Or if I'm not having a good day and I've just gotten beat up, I need that from somebody else. And collectively, that's how you keep energy levels up. That's where you keep a sustainable workplace. That's where you get rid of burnout, So, I can't imagine doing what we do just completely isolated. What we do is we have some uncomfortable conversations on a daily basis. So you better be in an environment that's positive where people feel, supported by the person next to them,
Yeah. And I think that creates a ton of opportunity now in acquiring other candidates, because there's a lot of people are working from home now, and it is not the best, right? They're by themselves. They're stuck in their house with their spouse, and they're starting to hate now they're hating each other. It's like I need to get out, right? And you have this high powered, energetic environment. I mean, people come running to you. So
I mean, having the ability to have flexibility is to me what I think most people want. And maybe I'm biased because I'm more wired to this, which is fair disclaimer, but I think people want the ability or the flexibility to be able to make that pivot and have control of their life. But to do that every day, I think that will fade away. We are social people. Like, we need interaction with people, and to not have that bond with the people that you spend so much time with, then you're really just collecting a check. Then you're really you're just doing something to make money. And we all know that if you do something just to make money, then it's unsustainable.
Truth.
Along those lines, this is interesting. So, did you listen to the Grant Botman episode?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so he's out here in Tucson. He has an independent, but his whole thing is about culture. And one of the things that he does is he has unlimited time off. And I thought, well, how do you even do that? Like, everybody would just be off. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out how I can do that and then offer it. And so I put a similar thing in place, but they have to be tracking. If they're not trending to hit their minimum requirements, they can't get it. And there's some, stuff there, but people take less time off because they have they have the option, the perceived flexibility as a result of it. I mean, even when they take the time off, if they're not tracking, they'll come in before, after, on the weekend, just to make sure they get paid for that time off. And it's genius.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it? The mind is crazy, right? Like, once we feel like we don't have that shackles on us, and we have freedom, it's like, okay, well, now I'm playing for something different, I love that. Makes sense. We have 410s for our customer service representatives. So 4 days on, or 4 days, 10 hours, cool. And then they have the 5th day off, and they cycle. And so we just kind of stack it to give kind of some more flexibility. Sure. But I'm having to beg them to please take the day. Like, take the 5th day, because they come in, when they're off, because they don't want to leave their team hanging, because the phones are blowing up. It's heavy. The Florida marketplace down here for homeowners is absolutely a dumpster fire right now. It's insane. So they're like, oh, well, I'm coming in on my day off because, I can't leave my team hanging. It's not about management or leadership impeding on them on what they have to do.
Right.
It's them wanting to, they're part of something. So I don't know what the secret sauce is on that. I don't know what all the ingredients are, but I know that, man, Craig, that's a serious component. I love that. It says, I trust you. I trust you, which is what more can you ask for? It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, look at the attitude with the Empire versus the attitude with the Rebel Alliance. Like, the guys flying the X-Wings were much happier.
There you go. They're cooler,
Yeah. And they're way cooler.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Brett, this interview is a long time coming. Awesome to have you on. I want to know what the number one piece of advice you would give anybody coming into the industry or that wants to light a fire in their agency this year. What would you tell them?
Culture is a verb, and culture always wins. There is not a bigger component to our business that has been a bigger factor in I wouldn't even say our success, our progression up into this point. It is a ridiculous competitive advantage. It is not a bullet point on a job offer. It is genuinely a marketable external message of who you are, and it attracts some incredible people to an industry that they normally would not look at. So there you go. I don't know if that helps.
Love it.
Drop the
If
mic.
people want to get more of Brett or want to know more about your agency or everything you have going on, where can they reach you?
Oh, dudes, you guys are great. Urbanyoung.com. It's ERBAND Young, Herb and Young. There you go. Boom. But they can also find me on socials. I'm everywhere, man. I'm on the gram. I'm on LinkedIn. You know, so yeah, just Brett Young, hit me up. I'd love to chat, man. I'm so encouraged by the community of agents who have started to reach out and collaborate on this stuff. And really, you guys have been a huge I've been watching you guys for a long time before this was cool. And it's amazing what's happens when somebody kind of puts a spark, and you've got all these people connecting and talking and collaborating and man, we're making the industry better, man. This is what a cool place to be. And it's because of leaders like you guys that we're going to attract the next generation to come behind us. So it's cool.
Thank you.
Love it, man. Thank you. And thank you for what you do. Your energy is infectious. I'm sure everything about your agency is phenomenal. So
thanks,
kudos to you, man. Thank you for coming on.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for having me.
Brad. Good to see you. Yeah.
Thanks, dudes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Craig.
That was another awesome episode, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if people want to get a little bit more action and learn how to do write 100,000 in premium off of even the worst internet leads, where could they go?
They can go to live.teledudes.com.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Are we going to be there?
Yes, it's a weekly call that we're doing right now it's live, and it will show you the process. The entire process is super awesome.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sign up right now, live.teledudes.com.
Live.teledudes.com. That's live.teledudes.com.
Hey, Craig, there's a new community that we are starting that I cannot wait to tell everybody about. It is our live texting community where you and I are going to answer people's questions and give them free content, right?
Are you kidding me? We get to talk to them?
Yeah, which is awesome, but they have to opt in. They have to text us at 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
Nice.
Craig, are you going to respond to these texts?
I'm going to respond to them for sure. Live.
I'm into it too. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be our new texting community where we're going to get back to everybody that we can and drop some crazy content, free content, and free the calculator that you just came up with. That's right. The calling calculator, sales material. I mean, everything for insurance agents. This is it. It's the best texting community out there for insurance agents.
Well, what the heck is that number again? I can't remember it.
It's 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
I love it. I'm going to text it right now.
520-214-2219.
All right. I'll see you later, Mr. Jason.
Bye, Mr. Craig.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
All right.